Hello, people of YouTube. I am Malisha, your next door book nerd, and this is my first ever blog. Ta-da! At first, reading books was a joke, but bro, I don't think it's a joke anymore. After finishing almost 30 plus books from my TBR when the pandemic got hit last year, so I thought, let's put this book reading to the next level and record my first vlog ever. I'm going to help you realize which books are for you and which books are not for you, and what books you can read this fall. Last week, I decided to read all the popular books on booktok. So let's get on with it. So TikTok, as we all know, was once a video making app, which it still is, but the bookworm community has left no stones unturned to make it into a big platform for books, almost starting a new hashtag, booktok. Magnific! Everybody around the world is thrift shopping books according to the booktok recommendations. That is in fact great, but what is more great is that the hashtag booktok has been viewed almost 12.6 billion times. That's a heck lot! And that is where I got truckloads of recommendation. So, come on, let's read. So this book was a great read. In fact, I read it in one sitting, one fine afternoon, because I literally could not wait for my physical copy to arrive. It's a story about a posh, privileged American family, the Sinclairs, the three eldest sisters, and their rich lifestyle. The eldest granddaughter, Kaden Sinclair, who is also the protagonist of the book, I think she has the main character vibes all over the book. Including her relationship with her mother, her father, her grandparents, her cousins, and also her retrograde amnesia, which is what makes this book basically a 300-page read. However, I'm not very sure why the book is called We Were Liars. I mean, is it because they used to lie blatantly about their imperfect life? It has got all what it needs to be a hauntingly exhilarating summer mystery read, which you can pick up anytime you want, whenever you're out on a vacation or into your grandparents' house. You can always take it out for a read. It deals with the concept of class, race very open-mindedly, and also talks about mental health issues faced by teenagers. The best part about this book is that it would make you want to wait till the end, because
Das Ende ist der Anfang und der Anfang ist das Ende.
And also the writing style could make you super uncomfortable because of the mid-breaks in the passages. Overall, I think if you want to start to read booktok books as a beginner, then this is the perfect choice for you. Although if somebody asks what happens at the end, just be a liar. Before I say anything about this book, let me clarify that this book is not correlated with the movie Saath Khoon Maaf, which is based on Ruskin Bond's Susanna's Seven Husbands. Because I get a lot of similar questions whenever I tell people that I am reading Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This book became one of my favorite reads ever. Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote a masterpiece of her time. Evelyn Hugo is a flawed character, but you're bound to fall in love with her. You're bound to feel highs and lows with her. Taylor wrote a character so lively that it is almost impossible to believe that there is no Evelyn Hugo in fact, and that we did not see her in the Oscars. This book is set in the 1950s vintage Hollywood era, and it follows the story of a Cuban actress, Evelyn Herrera, who later is known as Evelyn Hugo, and her journey in the already corrupted Hollywood world. It might start off as a historical fiction, but soon you realize that beauty goes deeper than the skin. It perfectly deals with race, class, sexuality, misogyny, the male dominance in the society, and also carries the weight of the saying that love conquers all. The story also very intricately represents one's sexual orientation and how society condemns, even to this day, love in its all forms. I'm just awed that even after being flawed, every character adds to the story a different spice, a different meaning, a different morale, if you look at it from their angles and perspective. Taylor practically lent from the lives of famous Hollywood actresses Elizabeth Taylor and Marilyn Monroe and made Evelyn Hugo alive. Also, it will make you feel the power of individuality, because when Evelyn says that because they're just husbands but I am Evelyn Hugo, yes woman, I feel empowered, and you my friend will also feel empowered when you start reading this book. There's almost nothing wrong with the book except for the fact that the story ends with an unambiguous happy ending. At the end, it just makes us realize that the story is not just about love, but wanting to be loved and having no fear of it. And the mystery that it unfolds is, why does Evelyn Hugo have 7 husbands? Overall, fact of the fiction, this woman can write. Shadow and Bone is the first part of the YA fantasy series of the Grisha-verse written by Leigh Bardugo, and I have very mixed feelings for this book. The Grisha-verse is a vastly magical, tantalizing narrative of many characters, some of them morally grey, some of them coming from an imaginary place, an imaginary timeline, and it is entirely created by Leigh Bardugo herself. But do not make me your villain if I beg to differ that this might not be her best book. For me, the show adaptation just raises the bar if you read the book later, because the show actually has a spin-off of 3 different characters from her Six of Crows duology. No sooner than this book got me hugely hyped up than it made me go into a complete reading slump. I mean, I literally could not get myself read the second part of the trilogy, Siege and Storm. Also, the one thing that I love most about this book is the Russian influence of the Tsarist and Slavic culture, and the readers almost have no idea about the timeline of the book, whether it's 1800s or 1900s, which makes it more intriguing. I'd also say that the use of alchemy science to curb the plot was also a great idea, and it has got much potential than just being a love triangle story. What hugely disappoints me is the main character, Alena Starkov, who is also known as the Sun Summoner, as depicted in the book as well as in the show adaptation, was just a bland character. She is almost given no voice in the entire book. She is manhandled by 2 male lead characters, and girl, you're literally playing with the 2 male leads. I mean, stop it, it's toxic. And also the book portrays that how a strong female character needs amplification by a negative male character. One of the male leading characters, Mal, is depicted terribly in the book with a lot of trust issues than in the shows. The only intriguing character for me were Genia and Darkling. I mean, I would really love to know more about Grishas than just their robe colors and their powers. The ending was a bit manipulated and rushed just to save the good guys in the story. Bardugo is an amazing author, and if you really want to get the richness from the Grisha verse, then you should go ahead for Six of Crows. Although Shadow and Bone is also an amazing read, and it also is a wonderful looking book, both paperback and hardcover. But overall speaking, that if you want to have fun reading a YA with Russian Twilight backdrop, then go for it. I came across this book on Tumblr. A lot of people were equating it with Norwegian show Scam and Young Royals, because all of these deals with queer relationship. I had already gotten an idea that this book was majorly based on enemies to lover trope, and who does not like enemies to lovers? The lover protagonists are none other than the imaginary first son Alex Claremont Diaz and the Prince of Wales, Prince Henry. It is true that the initial portions of the book sounded a lot like a Wattpad fan fiction, but as you go into the thick of the book, you realize that there is much than that. For a fictional description of US presidential politics, this book is very enriching, and also it talks about how forbidding sometimes the English monarchy rules can get, as we see in the case of Prince Henry. The complexity in their emotional as well as in their physical relationship between Alex and Henry is shown is a big part of this book. And the family interaction is also a very important key in this book. Because both of the families are popular in both social media and the real world. One is the family of the president and one is the family of the Queen of England. So they both have got reputations to keep up with. And how the family is reacting to their queer relationship is also a very important factor in this book. That is why it tells us that how still people react to the pride community and how they want to be in the real world. The only discrepancy in this book is a title given to Henry as Prince of Wales, since he is not the firstborn, which does not go accordingly with the current rules of the English monarchy, where the Prince of Wales title goes to the firstborn of the family. To sum up, I would just say that this book can make some history, huh? One of Us is Lying is one of the books of the series of books written by Karen McManus, and it is also recently adapted to a show with a similar title called One of Us is Lying, airing in Peacock TV original. I was very hyped up with the title of the book saying One of Us is Lying, but when I finished reading I realized that the title has got nothing to do with how the story ends. If you have seen Breakfast Club, you would really like this book because it is majorly based on the same stigma that five high school students with almost no common ground are serving in after-school detention, and the only difference in this book is that one of them gets murdered and the suspects are the other four. I believe the book somehow highlights certain high school taboos, like how the blonde girl is the most popular and how we have no suspect towards the school nerd, that is Bronwyn, who gets murdered, that is Simon, is shown a lot unlikable in the book. Through the parts of flashback that is shown in between. And also Nate, who is known as the school criminal, is already the first suspect in the book. The only okay character for me was the athlete. He was assumed guilty many times, which was not required. One thing that I love about this book, that the story is shown from the perspective of all the characters and how the mystery is unraveled from the point of views of everybody in the same room. We get to hear the different sides of the same story. The plot is also written with quite ingenuity and creativity, but I think the whole storyline is a bit too cliche for me. However, I am always going to recommend you if you are looking for a high school murder mystery and if your favorite show is Riverdale, of course. Overall, beware of your classmates. The last book that I'm going to talk about is Normal People by Sally Rooney, and mind when I'm saying that Sally Rooney is one of my favorite authors now. Her style of minimalism in the writing intrigues me a whole lot on another level. Normal People also became one of my favorite books from my TBR list. It's also recently adapted for a Hulu show with the same title, Normal People. The story is based on two Irish high school students, Marianne and Connell, who belong from two opposite worlds. Marianne on one hand has a rich, dysfunctional family. She has no friends, no social life. She does not even have an idea how to make friends. Her peers almost loathe her. She is known as the school weirdo. And on the other hand, Connell, who is the popular, handsome, athletic boy, comes from an average middle-class family. As they go from being teenagers to entering into university as adults, they realize how life changes around them. Their on and off relationship is quite sweet and tender, and it's almost so realistic that you are able to relate to your own lives. As I previously said, Sally Rooney's writing style is very descriptive. While you're reading, you can actually imagine that you are in that place and you're actually watching a show rather than just, reading a book. And that is why I think the show adaptation is so popular and is completely an art. The book will also make you ponder upon a lot many decisions that you took while you were going through that phase, or you are going through that phase. Normal People is also a lot about right person, wrong time concept. But what disappoints me is the ending. Oh my god, the ending is really sad, and no spoilers, but the ending will break your heart. And after all the struggle that you see through the book between Marianne and Connell, the ending seems a lot more heartbreaking, because you're waiting for that moment to arrive when Connell and Marianne are together and having a happy life ahead. But that is where the sports get spoiled. So overall speaking, Normal People is basically a very romantic read. If you want to spend your evening reading something casual and something easy for comforting your mind, then I think picking up a Sally Rooney book might be the best decision of your life. In all the reviews that I said in the video, it is absolutely your decision whether to read or not. Do not solely base on my reviews, because those are my opinions. I would not forbid you to read any of these books. In fact, I would recommend all of them to you. You can pick any of them anytime, and these books will really help you even as a beginner to start, or even if you are a bookworm, then it will be a great read for you. So I hope you got a lot of recommendations and you absolutely cannot wait to start with your own story. Let me know which one is your favorite among all of the books that I mentioned, and which one you are hoping to pick up this fall. Stay tuned to my channel and do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. And also do not forget to press the bell icon for more notifications. Also, I forgot to mention that a lot of these books talk about suicides and suicidal thoughts and mental health issues. So if you're looking for someone, if you're going through something down, then feel free to connect to me via my email or my social handles that I'm going to mention down in the description box. And happy reading, guys!